Hi, I'm Crystal. Today I'm going to make a mini junk journal. So this little mini junk journal I think would be perfect for a birthday book, and I'm making it out of the empty box for Jell-O. A piece of cord. I'm using elastic cord, but I think baker's twine or ribbon would work just fine. And I've got a digital printable. This was a freebie from Ink and Page, and I will drop a link in the description box where you can sign up to receive these weekly emails with free printables, as well as to their Etsy shop. And I also have some plain copyweight paper in coordinating bright colors that I'm going to use for my inside pages. So that's really all the supplies we need to make this cute little mini journal. And I'm going to start out with trimming out my digitals and cutting my interior pages. That was really the only measurement I did for this whole project. So I'm going to carefully disassemble the box. And here I just want to open up all the sides. I'm going to look for the seam that holds the box together. You can see it on the inside and the outside. Carefully open up that box without ripping it. And then I'm going to cut off all of the extraneous top and bottom pieces that I don't need. So here the box is a little misprinted, so I started cutting on the outside, but it turned out to be easier to see the marks on the inside of the box. So I'm just trimming along the fold line for this cardboard box. Very easy to do with ordinary scissors. And while this is a mini project, of course the steps are just the same that you would use if you were making a full-size journal from a cereal box or a cracker box. So once I've cut off the top and bottom edges excuse me, of this box, I decided I like the flap. I think I'm going to leave that on for a closure. I'm just going to take off the one small flap from the side, leave the other one. So now I've got my box, which is going to serve as the base of the book, and I'm going to cover up the Jell-O branding with my digital kit. And I actually printed out the full pages twice, so I would have more pattern paper to work with. The pattern paper is not quite big enough for me to cover the whole box, so I'm going to need a seam across the spine, but that's fine. So I'm going to take my glue stick and just cover up the entire surface of that first flap of the box, and then I'm going to set it down on the paper, leaving a little bit of an edge around, enough to fold the paper over. So I'd say that's, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/2 an inch. And then I'm just going to cut the paper, leaving enough to glue to the spine and leaving that same kind of edge. Then I'm going to pick up my other piece of printed paper, and I'm just going to cover the rest of the box with glue stick, and then I'm going to set that down on the second piece of printed paper. And while I've used a digital kit, of course you could use any type of printed paper. Wrapping paper would be fine, scrapbook paper would be fine. With this printable kit, the printing is on copyweight paper, and so I'm folding the box every time I glue something down to make sure that everything still moves and folds, because if you're working with heavyweight paper, you can glue everything down really firmly and then find that the box no longer folds. So copyweight paper, a little easier to work with in this instance, but if you're working with heavy cardstock, you definitely want to check. Now I'm going to trim the corners off, and you don't want to cut right down to the corner of the box, just pretty close. And that's just going to make it easier to fold up the sides and get a nice neat corner. So it's just like wrapping a textbook in a grocery bag, if you ever did that as a child. We're just going to add glue stick to the edge of the paper and the edge of the box and fold the paper up over the lip to make a nice neat edge. You could trim it off right at the edge. I think that would also be fine, but this gives you a nice neat finish. And I'm just going all the way around the box with my glue stick and flipping up that little piece of paper. I'm going to cover that join at the spine at the end so that we'll have a nice finished look there as well. And I'm going to just finish up the edges of the front cover. So I'm going to set that aside to dry for just a second. And while that's drying for just a second, we will finish up the interior pages. So the interior pages are really the only measurement I did for this entire project, because I wanted to make sure the pages would stay inside the box. And these interior pages are 3 inches by 5 inches, which is just about the right size to fit inside this Jell-O box with a little bit of space all around the edge of the page, so they won't hang out of the box. So this is where the coordinating colors come in, and I'm just alternating my colors and making my 2 signatures. So once I've got that all put together, I'm going to go ahead and cover the inside of the box with the other pattern of pattern paper. And so this has got a lovely butterfly pattern on it, and I'm just holding it up to the box and then trimming out my piece. I'm folding the piece of paper just to give me a line to cut along because I didn't want to measure. And again, I'm going to have to have a little bit of a seam, but if I put that against the spine of the book, you really won't be able to tell that the paper is joined. So holding up one piece of paper against the next, I can get a good match on the depth of the page. And then to put in my lining, all I'm going to do is use my glue stick on the inside of the box with my trimmed piece of paper, and then attach it to the box. It's really very straightforward. And so again, here you could use any kind of paper. Could be wrapping paper, could be scrapbook paper, could be any type of paper or fabric that you like. If you decide to go with fabric, I would use something besides glue stick to attach it, but for paper, the glue stick is plenty. So sticking my little butterflies down, isn't that pretty? I really like this digital kit with its fun, bright colors. I think that a lot of times in junk journaling, we automatically gravitate towards vintage because that's what you see a lot of. But of course, a junk journal doesn't have to be vintage style. It can be any color that you like. Could be solid colors too. No rule says it has to be pattern paper. So once I've got my butterflies in, I'm continuing to fold up the box as I go along to make sure everything still folds. And I'm sticking down my liner paper, and then the inside of the box is ready to go. So now all we need to do is let that dry for a second. And I'm going to decorate my interior pages. And I'm going to use the other pieces of this digital kit to decorate my interior pages. And I'm not going to go through the decorating one step at a time. You're probably using a different digital kit or stickers that you have in your stash or other types of decoration, but I will flip through at the end so you can see all the pages. So I decorate the interior pages, and now it's time to cover the spine. And I'm going to use a little bit more of this butterfly print for the spine. And I thought it would be fun to have a little bit of a shaped piece here. So I'm going to actually trim along around the butterflies so that I get maximum butterflies and not just a strip of paper. But of course you do whatever's appropriate for the materials that you have at hand. I think ribbon on the spine would be really pretty as well. So I'm sticking my shaped piece down here, just leaving a little bit to glue down over the top and bottom flap of the book. And then once that's in place, we're really getting pretty close to the end. So now we're going to assemble our binding and decorate our cover. And so here I'm just using the last couple pieces of the digital kit to decorate. And I'm going to stick that pretty mushroom. Although I think if I saw a mushroom this color in real life, I don't believe I would eat it. Pink does not seem like it would be a good color to eat. And I'm going to stick this little label on the front. Now, I did not think that through because that's not really going to work with my flap, but I did fix that later by sticking an extra copy of the label onto the flap. So that's the nice thing about a digital printable, I guess. I can always print another one. So I just put a matching piece onto the flap so that when I close the flap, it will still match that label that I put on the front. So don't be me, plan ahead just a little bit. Now we're going to make our binding with our piece of cord. And so here we're using twine binding, so I'm just wrapping that piece of cord around and tying a knot. So I think elastic is easiest to work with here, and you want to tie it firmly so that it's got just a little bit of tension on it. But if you don't happen to have elastic cord, regular twine will work just as well, or ribbon. And then I'm going to slip my signatures inside that twine. I think that's really great for a birthday book too, because if I need to add more pages, or if I need to rearrange or take something out, then I've got the ability to take those signatures right back out and adjust them as needed, or put in more, or take some out, or whatever. So here are my decorated pages as we flip through. I tried to put a little something on every 2-page opening so that there's something pretty to look at. And with the birthday book, then I would just mark the dates in each month of birthdays and put that with my birthday cards so that I would keep up with everyone's birthday. And there we go. There's the finished book. I'll put a little piece of Velcro to keep that closed. Here it is with the flap out and with the flap in. So I hope you enjoyed, and I thank you for joining me today.